Hey dudes, how's it going? This is Trent, and if you follow my channel, you know I've been doing this a long time, and so I get a lot of questions, and one of the questions that I get asked a lot is, do I need to go to university or art school to become a concept artist or a professional artist? And the reason why you get a lot of different answers to this is because there are a million paths that an artist might choose to take. And so much of it depends on your personality type. This is my opinion about it. Do not shape your life around my opinion, but this may be helpful in you deciding the reality of which lifestyle you best fit.
In the background, I'm going to have some kind of old school military character designs that I'm working on for a fun side project. That's just so that this video has something interesting to look at besides my face, which I know is handsome, but it ain't as interesting as looking at cool army dudes being drawn.
So in my mind, there are two massive classes of artist, distinctive classes of artist. There's the artist who needs to do things his way. There's the artist who has a vision, and he must see his vision come to fruition and touch it and feel it. And you've got that story idea or that game idea or that comic idea that you really want to see it go the way that you want it to go. And that's a creator. That's more of a like a director or creator role. The independent creator type of artist, that particular artist type or creator type of individual probably would appreciate having, their name on their brand. Their brand is their name, for instance. Maybe the route for these types of individuals are like a comic book artist or a YouTube artist, which is a thing now. They need to tend to set their own hours, sometimes staying awake for extreme periods of time because you really need to get that thing together that you've been working on, or you really need to finish that painting that you really want to do, or do that study that you really want to do, or you're working on that next video that you can't wait to share with people and see how people will respond to it. And you're okay with the criticism of the masses, the people who will tear your pieces to shreds and say you don't deserve the credit that you get or the following that you have. And these types of individuals, maybe that's a challenge, but it's preferable to a 9-to-5. It's preferable to giving your ideas away or selling your ideas. Independent creator types tend to struggle with structured corporate sort of production development roles. Generally, independent creators don't need money. They don't care about money, or they're financially independent because their parents took care of them or they inherited a house or something. They can live cheaply. They'd rather make very little money building their brand, building their name, than and attaching their identity to their ideas, rather than to accept a paycheck for their ideas or to turn in all of their work to somebody else for a paycheck.
Basically, this personality type, to them, their creations are not something to be sold. They're not something to be compromised on. They can be stubborn. If you have a difficult personality type that's always butting heads with authority, this might be a better direction for you.
To be an independent creator, you don't need a university or art school degree. You simply need to make things. So if you feel that this is really matching your personality type and your identity, sure, you could apply to and get roles in game development studios, but you're going to really struggle. You'll have to later unlearn some of the things that you learned while you're there, because while you're there, you're training to become a more effective part of a bigger machine.
Think of it like, where do you fit in a toolbox? A company needs to put together a toolbox to make their product. Where do you fit into that? If you come in as a hammer and they hire you as a hammer and you're always trying to convince them that you're a screwdriver, and not only am I a screwdriver, but I can also change the tires on your car or whatever, or change the oil on your car. They're going to go, no, dude, we just need a freaking hammer. Like, be the thing that we hired you to do. And that can be very restrictive sometimes for these personality types.
Independent creator types of artists are going to benefit more from business development, university education, or marketing, education and marketing, these sorts of things. learning how to build your brand is going to be more valuable than learning to draw, because you can draw in whatever style you want. I know artists who said, I can't draw any other style, and they became famous for the limitations of their style. It's just they draw that way. They don't draw any other way. Not very employable unless you're hiring for that brand. But they built their own brand from nothing, and it grows. Everything, that's a whole different talk about snowflakes building up over time to become your own brand. And that is a long, hard road that a lot of artists aren't willing to take because you have a kid or financial responsibilities, or you want nice, expensive things. You want the flashy stardom, glamour, glitz. You want all that now. And that's a really difficult thing to justify when you have to build it from very little and compound it over time. So your greatest university, your greatest schooling and education for becoming an independent creator is to build your own thing. Indie games, make your own short films, make your own comics, make your own movies, YouTube videos, whatever it is. Get that started as quickly as you possibly can. Reinforce it, build it into your identity. And then there's the artist that wants to collaborate with a lot of other very talented people, and somebody who wants to be a part of a bigger thing than just themselves, and somebody who doesn't want that pressure. I classify these guys as production development artists. I think that's a pretty standard classification. We'll just call them production artists for the sake of this talk. Do you need to go to art school or university to become a production artist? Yes, you need to become as valuable of an asset as possible for any employer to make money off of you. Have no illusions about what being a employed artist means. You are there to make them money. If you are not, then they wouldn't hire you. If you are not making them money, they will not hire you. I don't care how big the company is or how many propaganda videos they make about how they're one big happy family and everybody's opinion matters and everybody's individual growth is important. It's all machine to keep you making them lots of money.
Usually actually for stockholders. I mean, if you're working for one of the big guys. But never forget that making games for big AAA companies is a business. And it is a very profitable business for those guys.
That sounds cold and heartless and cruel, but it's the reality of the world. Nobody wants to put money in your pocket or create an opportunity for you. You have to become as valuable of an artist as possible so that they can sell your work. That means that you have to adapt to whatever it is that they're already doing. If they already have something that's making money, you have to be able to do it and make it better all the time for the rest of your life, or you'll be unemployed again.
So as a production artist, you're not only do you need to go to school when you're in your early 20s or whatever, you're going to spend probably the rest of your life constantly learning. Almost every concept artist I know at a very successful studio goes out to art schools on weekends and takes classes to constantly learn new techniques and new processes and master their craft, because they know that if they stop being valuable to the company lets them go. There's no loyalty. There's no like, hey, you did this great thing for us 3 years ago. That was really special. You still have a job. No. That doesn't happen. And with all that said, you might be wondering, well, why the heck do people choose to go and work for these big companies if it's an endless cycle of feeling obsolete and then fighting to keep your job again and then feeling obsolete again and then fighting to keep your job, and endless cycle of madness to constantly stay improving? Well, because there are a lot of damn really nice, comfortable benefits that come with that. And sometimes I even wonder if I should go and work in-house again, because, hey man, you get a lot of benefits working for one of these studios, a lot of short-term benefits. It's even sweeter if you get yourself some stock options. But if you go and work for one of these companies, one, you get the benefit of attaching your name to something that people have heard of, because, hey, suddenly people take you more seriously when you worked on something that everybody's heard of or everybody is playing. It's sort of like validation. It's like, hey, I made it. I'm at that big company that everybody knows, that everybody tries to get into, but can't. And so I'm somebody. See, taking a production artist job, you could immediately start getting a paycheck every 2 weeks. That's a pretty big perk, a pretty big benefit. If you're not particularly great with money, it's really nice to have that steady paycheck every 2 weeks. It seems really safe. You can count on it. So you can go get that loan on a new flashy car. So everybody will think you're awesome and successful. Sometimes they have healthcare packages that are really nice. If you're living in the United States, you know how important something like that is because our healthcare system sucks. You get immediate validation on an external level. Your parents might say they're proud of you. Hey, you made it. Look, you're working on that big thing that everybody at work is talking about, that big game that just made the news or whatever. Suddenly, when you do a YouTube channel, more people tune in because they're like, oh, you're the guy that worked on those games that I really like. And that's kind of a cool thing to have, too. There's holiday parties. There's things like team-wide trips, things where everybody goes out to see movies together. It happens a lot in the game industry. Studios will take you out to go see that latest, greatest CG blockbuster movie, the latest Marvel movie or whatever. There's also the camaraderie, the development of relationships with people at, fellow game developers, people who love making games. It's a fun thing to be a part of a big team where you don't have to be a great programmer. You can focus on being a really good artist, character designer, or a 3D modeler, for instance. You can be really good at just your one job and be, like I was saying before, be the most effective hammer that you can be. And for some people, that's manageable. That seems easier. It seems easier than learning to be a great programmer and a great artist and a great game designer and a great marketer and a great video editor and a great communicator and a great overall person that people enjoy tuning into so that you can actually make entertaining content so they like what you make. To be good at all of those things and be able to make a compelling, fun game. That's a huge undertaking for somebody to try to do all on their own if you're going to go the indie game route or the independent creator route in general. You have to master a lot more skills. And you may have no money and no resources, no following, and no product for years, maybe even decades, and it may not even work out. But the payoff is that you get a lot more freedom. Most people that go the production artist route decided at some point that they would rather be a part of something that's big, that is made by a team, a group of people, and take that risk of that they can keep getting better and staying better enough to keep their job, than to take that risk of saying, oh no, I'm going to try to really put myself out there and learn skills that I have no idea how to do, because that's a scary, scary prospect. Believe me, I know. It's a thing that I've dealt with a lot. I have a lot to say about this topic. I don't know if you noticed. But about 5 years ago, I stepped away from AAA game development. I still do a lot of contract work for companies like Blizzard and Riot and a lot of indie studios and startups. And I enjoy working as a contractor because it's kind of the best of both worlds for me. I get to feel a little bit of a sense of a team. But I also have a lot of the freedom where I don't have to deal with a lot of internal corporate politics or things like that. If I don't like working with somebody, we just both decide not to work together anymore. And that's a really great situation. You can't do that if you're an employee. Do you need to go to college or art school to become a contract artist in working in games? Well, yes and no. I mean, it's not a requirement, but if you don't know what you're doing, then how can you do contract art for a game development? You need some experience. So you either need to do indie games to get the experience so that you know that you're creating concept art that is useful to the development team, or you need to you could go to art school. Specifically, there's only a couple of concept art schools that I really endorse or support. The biggest of which, if you can afford it, is FZD, the Fengzhou School of Design. I've gone and visited there over in Singapore once, and I really feel that when somebody comes out of FZD, they're going to be a more effective hire than a concept artist who went to, I don't want to pick on any other schools, just a school who does not have a concept art curriculum, because there is a big difference between concept art and illustration. And I talk about that a lot in my video about illustration versus concept art. So right now, to answer the question very specifically as best I can, based on what I've just said, Do you need to go to art school to become an artist? The short answer is no. But do you need to go to art school to get a job as a production artist at a big game studio? My advice would be yes, because you need to be able to stand above all of your competition. And your competition is getting better every single day. And going to school now means that you'll probably be going to school the rest of your life. And it ain't like going the independent creator route doesn't mean you have to grow every day. You do. You have to make products that are better than everybody around you. I've been wanting to make a Metroidvania for the last 15 years. If I do one now, it damn well better be better than Hollow Knight and Axiom Verge and every other Metroidvania that's out there, because they've set a new standard, and there are always new ones coming out that are setting new standards and raising the bar, and that's a good thing for the end player, for the end user, for the gamers, for the gaming culture. The other thing that's really amazing about this period of time that we live in, because it's not so sad and desperate because it's so competitive and all that, because here's the fact of the matter. If you're really freaking passionate and you can make something that shows that, and it shows soul, and people attach to it, that thing that you've made, then that's all you really need, baby. You don't actually need to go to college to have a successful career or to make something that people gravitate to or love. But it is a high-risk game. So position your pieces on the chessboard in such a fashion that you've got your bills covered, you've got some safety nets, you're not burying yourself in financial debt, so that you can afford to make the thing that you're really passionate about and keep taking those shots that maybe people will like it enough to throw a few bucks your way. Or you strategize your business in such a fashion that it's a fair deal for the people who want to buy your product. You've made a great product at a fair price. And I can't express enough the importance of personal responsibility in this whole conversation. Don't bail on responsibilities to pursue your dream or bury your family or loved ones in debt so that you can go to art school to accomplish your dream. That is a miserable way to live. But, hey, if you can get a free ride and they're cool with it, they want to see you succeed and go to art school, yeah, let your parents pay for your way to art school. That would be a really great benefit for you if you have the free or easy option to do so. I never did, so I never got to. I'm completely self-taught. But those days of being a concept artist in games doing that, I think you got to be pretty damn amazing. There's too much competition now to pass up any opportunity to excel. Whew. Oh man, this is a meaty one. This one ended up being a much longer discussion than I initially planned. I hope that this is helpful in your journey. If you decide to go, whatever it is that you decide to do, if you decide to get on that path to becoming a very, very effective production artist, that is a very commendable route to go, and I have a lot of friends that do it, and sometimes I wish that I was still doing that, but if you decide to go the independent creator route, you might have to have very good reasons for that, and it's going to be a long, hard road of maybe building an audience and learning about marketing and all the things that come with building a business, and also reaching new people and creating entertaining content. If you're looking at the artwork that I've created here in my background while I've been talking, and you're wondering, hey, how does he do that? How's he doing those layer effects and gradient maps and things like that? Man, I put all that stuff together into tutorials, and I've got real-time videos of exactly this particular process over there on my Gumroad channel. I also sell my brushes, and that certainly helps keep me independent and unemployed, which I enjoy. So if you would like to learn how I do what I do, go pick those up. For everybody else, dudes, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope that this was helpful and informative for you. And until next time, dudes, I will catch y'all on the bond. And ciao, baby. Yeah. Those endings just get crazier and crazier.